So we have a creature in Shetland called a trow, and the trow is like the Norwegian troll. But the story is that there's a man who's been playing fiddle at a wedding. He's walking home over the hills, and it's a moonlit night. And as he's walking through the hills, the snowstorm rolls in, it covers the moon. It's a blizzard.
Right.
He can't see his hand for his face, so he gets lost in the hills, and he starts to get disorientated, and he starts to get worried and feared that he won't be able to find his way home. And then in amongst the wind and the snow, he hears his name being called, like Tammy, Tammy. And it describes like every hair on the back of his neck standing up, because this isn't a human voice. And then just in front of him, a figure appears like the size of a bairn, the size of a child. It looks strange, this glowing red eyes and strange clothes, and it offers him a little flask to drink from. And he's just so feared and afraid and so disorientated, he doesn't even run away. He just accepts the drink. And when he drinks from it, this fire from this drink kind of goes into his belly, but then goes right to his fingers and his feet and right to his head, and he suddenly kind of feels brave. And this creature says, Tammy, I see you're a fiddler. We're having a wedding. We need a musician. So he just lets himself be led through the snowstorm. They're right up to this great stone, and they pass through it. He finds himself under the hill he's walking over. It's a huge cavernous room, full of fireplaces and tables of food and drink, and hundreds of these peerie folk of the trows. And they're so excited to see him that they give him food, they give him drink, they give him tobacco for his pipe, and then he plays the fiddle for them. And they even teach him a tune that he learns from them, which is called a trowie tune. We have these trowie tunes in Shetland, and they're always a kind of slight jaunty melody. They kind of don't make sense. And at the end of the night, Tammy says, I must go home, my wife and my bairns. Like, my family will be worried about me. When he walks out, it's blinding daylight. There's not a drop of snow on the ground. So he thinks, I better head home quickly. They'll be worried. So he marches back to his house. He gets to the door. But when he gets to the door of his house, the paint's peeling. And when he walks into his house, he goes into the kitchen. And then he looks around, and his wife isn't there. His bairns aren't there. There's an old man by the fire and a young couple at the table. And he recognises nobody. And he says, who are you? This is my house. And they're like, who are you? This is our house. And he says, I'm Tammy. And he tells the story of how this is his house, and he'd been to play the wedding, and he'd come back, and he tells his whole story. And the old man by the fire goes, there was a man called Tammy who used to live here, but he went missing 100 years ago. And that's when Tammy realises that a night with the trows is 100 years. And he's so heartbroken. He's so lost in time. Everyone he knows is gone. He doesn't even have his house. He just wanders out the house, and he wanders up the hill. So the young man follows him up the hill to try and take him back and look after him. Mm-hmm. But Tammy just takes his fiddle out the box, and he begins to play the tune he learnt from the trows. And as the young man approaches him, hearing the tune in the air, he watches in horror as Tammy's fingers begin to turn to ash. Then his arms and his body, his legs, even the fiddle, and he just disappears into the air. But the tune continues. And they say if you go to that well on a certain night at Christmas time, you can hear the tune in the air.